everybody, and welcome back to my channel, Tabby Loves. I'm Tabitha, and I talk to you about the things that I love. Today, we are going to be doing a reading vlog where I am going to be reading the Mistborn trilogy. Now, I didn't think about doing this while I was actually reading Mistborn. So Mistborn is technically not included in the reading vlog, but I'm going to be starting it out with these other two, starting with The Well of Ascension. I put my bookmark in there, but I haven't fully started it yet because I remembered that I wanted to make this reading vlog. So, without further ado, let's get into it. This reading vlog will include some spoilers. I will try to, tag or highlight or whatever the sections that have spoilers in them, so you can obviously see when they start and stop. However, watch at your own risk. Viewer discretion advised, or whatever. I will be trying to keep my reactions non-spoiler, but then we'll have spoiler discussions. So with that, let's discuss the first Mistborn book. Just kind of start this video out since I'm not going to be reading it on camera because I already finished it. But Mistborn follows a world that is dominated by this person named Lord Ruler. Yeah. In this world, there's this magic system that has to do with being able to ingest and then use metals. It's really, there's so many metals. I can't remember all the names for them, but luckily, there tends to be these nice little schematics here at the back. Hold on, give me just a second. Okay, so there's iron that pulls on nearby metals, steel that pushes on nearby metals, tin that enhances senses, pewter that enhances physical abilities, zinc that riots emotions, brass that soothes emotions, copper that hides allomancy, which is the name of the magic allomancy, oh my god, I just had the word in my head and I lost it. I want to say the manipulation of metals? Yeah, manipulation of metals, allomancy. And then bronze reveals allomancy. So that's the basis of the magic system. And most people can only burn one metal. And there is a name for every single type of person that could only burn a certain type of metal. They have corresponding names. Because the one kind of metal or whatever that can enhance physical abilities, they're known as pewter arms or thugs because they can make themselves stronger and that's it. That kind of thing. But in this world, there are people that can burn all the metals, and if you can burn more than one metal, you can burn all the metals, and they're known as Mistborns. We follow two Mistborns in particular, Vin and Kelsier. Kelsier is kind of a revolutionary, and Vin is basically a street crew, low-level thug. She is just kind of bounced around and used by different thug groups to commit help commit crimes or whatever, and she doesn't even know what she is until she runs into Kelsier, and that's where the whole story goes down. And obviously this will have the most spoilers for Mistborn because obviously I'm going to be reading the next two books in this series, and obviously the next two books are going to very heavily relate to what happens at the end of Mistborn. So that's why there'll be lots of spoilers. But I won't talk about the end of Mistborn right now, right here, because we're gonna move that over into our spoiler section. Welcome to the spoiler section for Mistborn. I want to start out by saying that I absolutely loved this book. I'm a big fan of fantasy, and anything that has unique magic systems I don't see very often always gets me excited, and I love to see it. I love to see that all of the hype and all of the praise that Brandon Sanderson's get is warranted, because I was in love with this series, or this first book. I'm hoping to be in love with the entire series. And it was a great way to ease into his writing too. I absolutely loved it. And on top of that, I am also listening to Fantasy Fan Fellas. I'll put a picture somewhere here. But they are a podcast, and they are covering the Mistborn series, where they will cover a certain number of chapters. It's a lot of fun, and doing this in tandem with listening to them discuss the chapters, after I finish reading the set of chapters for the whatever episode they're on, I then go and listen to that episode and hear them discuss it. It's like being in a book club with friends, which is so fun. And that's why one of the reasons I'm so excited to dive back into Well of Ascension, so I can go back to listening to them and continuing with this series. But let's see, what are the big hard hitters in Mistborn that you need to know going into this reading vlog? One is that they succeed in taking down the Lord Ruler. That's the main big, like, spoiler that happens in this book. And the Lord Ruler ends up being a different species, because there are more than one type of magic user in this world, which is what also makes it interesting. But they use it in different ways. There are these people, I can't remember what they're exactly called. They're called, like, Seekers or something like that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And they can basically store knowledge in metals, and it's metals that they wear and metals that they, like, ingest. It's super cool. And they find out that the Lord Ruler, who everyone thought was a super powerful Mistborn, and they actually thought he was God himself. But the Mistborn Lord Ruler ended up being a seeker that had a bunch of power. And it turned out that everyone thought the Lord Ruler was this hero that was known as the Hero of Ages that was supposed to come and defeat some big bad darkness. And upon defeating the Lord Ruler, they find out that he was actually the Seeker Guide that was meant to go with the Hero of Ages, and he had ended up murdering the Hero of Ages and taking his spot and pretending to be him. But it's heavily implied that he's been doing something to keep the rest of the world safe. And now that they've taken him down, they have doomed the rest of the world. Not that he was taking very good care of the world anyway, because he was kind of a horrible dictator, and there was so much poverty, and the rich just tended to rule the whole country. Sounds kind of familiar, doesn't it? I'm sorry. But beside the point, so taking him down was a must. And it was Kelsier's mission from the very beginning, but Kelsier ends up dying in literally the first time he actually goes to fight the Lord Ruler face to face near the end. The Lord Ruler just immediately wipes him out. But the anger of his death is what propels Vin, who is the main protagonist, into continuing to fight and into defeating the Lord Ruler eventually at the end. And that's kind of where we're leaving off when we're starting the Well of Ascension. There's also one other thing to know is that there are also these kind of creature things called Steel Inquisitors that have been brutally, like, tortured in order to be able to use the metals beyond what normal humans are usually able to. And Kelsier's brother was turned into a Steel Inquisitor at the end, but was on their side and has teamed up with them. However, now that the Lord Ruler is no longer in power, they now have to worry about the Steel Inquisitors taking over. But they have a nobleman named Elend or Elend? His name might be Elend. But Elend is kind of like in a semi-romantic relationship with Vin, and so he's on their side. He feels sympathy for the working classes, and he kind of took over as king, basically, in place of the Lord Ruler, which is where we are starting out in the Well of Ascension. So, now that we have discussed what needs to be known from Mistborn, let's get into Well of Ascension. I am so excited to read this. Yesterday, but I did finish part 1 of Well of Ascension. Quick note, I was wrong about the name of the guys in the previous video. They're not called Seekers, they're called Keepers, and they're also called Terracemen, because that was like the name of their like race or whatever. So,
they're not called seekers. I do think there are these things called seekers in the first book. I just confused the two for a second, because it was like a couple weeks in between when I read Mistborn and when I read Well of Ascension. And by a couple weeks, I mean it was probably like a month. So, but it's fine. It's fine. I'm liking the directions of the story so far. And this is the spoiler-free version of this. Like, I think that the new character that they're like kind of introduced to the little gang is interesting, and I think it's going to go interesting directions. It's going to make Vin look at her own internalized biases. The little what they're called, epigraphs, and like the things at the beginning of the chapters, they're definitely headed in an interesting direction, and we're learning more about who the original Hero of Ages was, which is so interesting to hear about. And I'm excited for the direction of the story. I can't believe I've already finished part 1. Like, I've been reading this book for 2 days, and I'm already 130 pages in. If I keep up this pace, maybe I actually will get through my May TBR at a decent rate. We'll see. I've already kind of given up on finishing Throne of Glass, or like catching up on my Throne of Glass reread during this month, but who knows, maybe I'll get to at least start one of the Throne of Glass books. We're about to find out. It's about to be fun. This is the spoiler section now. We basically, in part 1, we are not only introduced to the state of the little kingdom that Elend is running, and he not only has an army from his father that wants to take back control of the city, but now another lord who has declared himself king from, I think it was the west, has come in and is also brought his army. And it turns out that Breeze, who is one of the members of the gang in the first book, he is the one that orchestrated the second guy bringing his army, because he's like, well, if these two people both end up fighting for the city, then our army can finish off whoever's left. So that does put them in an interesting position, I think. The cast member I was referring to in the previous non-spoiler part is the Khandra, and I don't love that Vin killed a dog. Even if it was a violet wolfhound, that probably would have been put down anyway. But her using it as a body for the Khandra, super interesting. I love a shape-shifting creature. You'll find that out whenever my book comes out. I love a shapeshifter. But this kind of shape-shifting is so interesting. Like, them having to, like, consume the bodies, and then they can turn into that being, and all they leave behind is the bones once they're no longer using the body anymore, is so interesting. And in part 1 ends with Vin and Elend. I'm going to say his name differently every single time. Vin and Elend discovering that there is another Khandra in their midst, and it may or may not be impersonating someone on the inner circle, which we all know Vin has trust issues, so that's definitely going to come into play. And then on the other side of things, Marsh, the Kelsier's brother that became a Steel Inquisitor, more or less against his will, he is back, and he specifically is in contact with, oh my god, I forgot what his name was, Sazed, which is the terroristmen that was on their side. And that kind of showed Vin what terrorismen were like, and allowed her to figure out what was going on with the Lord Ruler in the first book. And so Sazed has been going around trying to spread the knowledge that he's kept hidden, but none of the people are interested. They're just more concerned about how their daily life is going to be impacted by the fall of the Lord Ruler, so they're like, we don't care. And then Sazed wants them to care and is trying to force them to care, and it's not working out. Marsh comes to him, and he's like, hey, the library where Steel Inquisitors are like kept or made or whatever, this library has nobody in it. Let's go check it out and see if we can figure out more information. Because the Lord Ruler at the end of the book was like, I've been protecting you, and it's kind of implied that maybe the deepness, I think it's what it's called, is not, the darkness, the deepness, whatever, is actually was never fixed. It's still a problem that he's just been fighting back against, that nobody knows about. So they are slowly gonna uncover that, I assume. Oh, and the final thing. Vin also has this other Mistborn that she's been calling the Watcher, that's been watching her, because that's why it's called the Watchers, because he's been watching her, and she's been trying to catch him every night, and every night he evades her, and when she is attacked by 8 assassins one night, he, from a distance, helps her, and they have a brief conversation a couple nights later, and he basically just says, I'm an enemy, and then she's like, well, why did you help me? He just says, because I'm insane, and then that's it. That's the conversation. So there might potentially be multiple love interests for Vin in this book, because not only does this Watcher guy have potential, we don't know yet for sure, but a potential love interest, but Spook, who had a crush on her in the first book, but she was too busy fawning after Elend, Spook has had a glow up. He can now speak, like his like accent has gone away, or not completely gone away, but he can like control it better now. And he's like become a young man, you know? So who knows, maybe he'll also give Elend a run for his money, because we do know that Elend proposed to Vin, and she said no. So we'll see. I'm down for it either way, but obviously the important thing is what's going on with the deepness, what's going on with Allomancy, because it's obvious that Kelsier didn't know everything Allomancy had in store, and yeah, so I'm gonna get ready for work, and we will continue this vlog when I get home. Let's go.
This book is basically just an underdog book, and I don't know how spoiler free I'm going to be able to keep this vlog, because I don't know how to talk about what I'm reading without spoiling what I'm reading. But trying to be as spoiler free as possible, let's just say the main characters here found themselves in quite a pickle, and they're going to be pulling some risky moves that definitely makes them underdogs, but if they can pull it off, it's gonna be a lot of fun. And I'm glad to see them try. I didn't know how they were gonna get out of the situation they were in, but now that I see what plan they're cooking up, I am liking the direction of this. I'm like, okay, let them cook, I guess. Hey y'all, I have had an absolutely awful last 2 days at work, and I mean, like, today and yesterday were absolutely awful, and I still have one more day of work before my weekend. So I'm going to get unready, I'm going to shower, and then we're gonna read some Well of Ascension. Honestly, Well of Ascension's the only thing keeping me going right now. Absolutely loving it. I wish I could just ignore my real life and just read that book. So let's talk about what's been going on in the book, okay? So we met, I think I've said it before, I've given up on trying to separate spoilers versus non-spoilers. I'm just going to put a general spoiler warning at the beginning of this video. I'm sorry, not sorry, but I'm sorry. But anyway, we finally meet the Watcher, like, officially, and his name is Zane, which, I mean, that's a fine name. All I can think of is I'm pretty sure there was a Zane in H2O, if any of you know that show. But this Zane sounds cool. Honestly, he sounds like a shadow daddy, for real. You got the whole mist thing. He's got so I think I mentioned that he said that he was insane and that's why he was, why he helped Vin or whatever. And it turns out actually he is insane because he hears a voice in his head called God that just tells him to kill people all the time. Which, honestly, not as much as a red flag as you would think. Also, we find out that he is Ellen's, half-brother that Ellen doesn't even know that he has, and that makes some interesting things for Ellen's dynamic. It seems like it might be getting into some definitely love triangle territory. I really thought Spook was going to be where the love triangle was actually going to happen, but he's kind of flirty with Vin, and he keeps on being like, he'll never understand you. Like, can he really love you if he doesn't understand you? And calling her beautiful and shit. And I'm like, ooh. I've been enjoying it. There is another army on the way to add to the other two armies that are already surrounding Luthadel, I think is the name of the city. So, trouble's on the way. We met these creatures called Colossus, or maybe they're just called Coloss, but they're like these creatures that are like humanoid. They're basically like men, but they have blue skin, and they just continue to grow throughout their entire life. And they only live to be about 20 or so because they get so big that their heart can't support their bodies anymore. And apparently their skin is kind of like the shape of what it's always going to look like or whatever. Like, it doesn't grow or shrink or anything like that. Like, their skin stays the same. So when they're small, it's saggy, it doesn't fit them right. And as they grow, it gets more taut and tighter all over the place and starts to rip. Like, that's so cool. And I'm just like, how did Brandon Sanderson come up with this? Like, that's fantastic. So yeah, I can't wait to see where this is going. And Vin has started to do a bunch of deep diving on the deepness and what had happened with the Hero of Ages, because she is seeing the same kind of mist ghost things that the Hero of Ages was seeing. And I already suspected from the first book that Vin is some sort of Hero of Ages herself. Like, I'm like, there's a reason we never heard the prophecy in the first book, what the Hero of Ages was. Like, there's some sort of prophecy, but we don't know what the prophecy is. And I bet we don't know what the prophecy is because it's gonna fit Vin exactly. I bet Vin is the Hero of Ages that has been prophesized, and they just have gotten it wrong all those years ago. But we'll see. Yeah, so I'm gonna go shower, and then we're gonna hop right back on the reading train to make myself feel better for this awful day. Like, I didn't get home till 7 o'clock. I'm supposed to get off work at 4:30. I didn't get off work till 6 o'clock. Everything's fine. weekend now, and you know what that means. So I actually finished part 2 of this book yesterday. I think I'm about halfway through, almost halfway through. I guess not quite halfway yet. I mean, yeah, like I'm almost halfway. So part of me wants to try to finish all of this weekend. However, I don't know if I'm going to succeed. Because, first off, I'm completely dressed because I'm going to be going to, like, I'm wearing jeans and everything. I'm going to be going to the arcade with my uncle and my little sister, here soon, actually. I was actually doing something else this morning. I was working on my book. Writing vlog coming soon. Actually, the writing vlog is going to go up before this vlog goes up because I still have to read a whole nother Mistborn book before this vlog goes up. But that's beside the point. The writing vlog you would have already seen. It would have come and gone. Hopefully I got a lot of writing done. Future me will know. Anyway, this is a reading vlog, so I'm not sure if I'm going to film any of me being at the arcade. I am going to bring the book just because that's just who I am. I love mass market paperbacks because they can fit in my purse so easily. Like, this 700-page book can fit my purse no problem. I'll try not to read too much at the arcade because I don't, I don't want to be that person. However, low-key, between you and me, arcades are, like, only okay. Like, I don't really like arcade games, I think. Like, they're just so unsatisfying to play for me personally. Like, I have trouble being entertained for long periods of time while at an arcade, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. If I do end up vlogging it, you'll see. If I don't end up vlogging it, then we're just gonna move on. However, I am going to read a little bit before I leave. And yeah, let's go ahead and start part 3. Weekend. I am, let's see, about 409 pages into Well of Ascension, and this is the last day of this week. I think I am going to have to accept that I'm not going to be able to finish this book today, which it puts me like slightly behind where I wanted to be, but that's okay because I kind of knew reading almost, I think it's about 800 pages, was a little ambitious for 1 week because I'm not like a super fast reader. I don't have time to just sit and read every single day. Like I have a little bit of time, as you've seen, but I haven't been able to film every single day. I am not been able to just sit and read for hours on end. But I can on my weekend, in between me writing, all that fun stuff. So, that being said, I am ready to dive more into this book today. I already have done a little bit of reading today. I did a little bit of reading earlier. Sometimes I like to read while I'm waiting for Sims to load. So I read quite a few pages while waiting for my game to load. Because it's a little bit slow loading because of my mods. But that's okay. Everything's fine. another thing I have noticed reading this book, so I kind of like, I don't want to say pride myself on it, but I think if I were to be in a fantasy war novel situation, that I would be a really good battle strategist. And there are two different strategy things that have happened in this book. One is there was a moment where Vin is kind of sparring with another Mistborn, and they're using they're using coins to stay, like, up in the air. It's like, oh, first person to touch the ground loses. That was, like, kind of their game that they were going on. And while they're, like, flinging the coins everywhere and moving the coins away from each other, I was like, well, why don't you just stick one in your mouth, since they can't pull on any metals that are, like, inside of you, right? And it literally ends up being that when Vin loses the sparring battle, it's because the other Mistborn put the coin in his mouth, which is what I said, and which was what I would have done. And to be fair, she does say, oh, it was a simple thing, but she hadn't thought to do it. And I was like, I thought to do it. I did. And then they have, like, this army situation, right? And I've kind of thought since the beginning, I was like, well, why don't they just send Vin out there, right? And just, like, kill, like, a few groups of men every single night. I know it's, like, 20,000 soldiers or something like that. But... And, like, that many men a night wouldn't necessarily, like, it wouldn't eventually kill the whole army, right? That's unrealistic. But it could have sown some discord. It could have brought down the numbers quite a bit. And it could have brought the numbers down from infighting or, like, paranoia or whatever. And then Vin herself, at one point, thinks that. She's like, well, why don't I just go out there and start, like, killing some of the generals and stuff? But then she goes, no, that's too hard. That's too cruel. I cannot be like Kelsier. And I was like, so my strategy is too cruel and too hard, too brutal? I'm too brutal? I guess so. I guess so. Also, it's kind of like Vin is starting to think that she may be the hero of ages, which, I mean, I'm willing to bet she is. I cannot wait for the Well of Ascension to actually come into the story. I'm so curious. I'm biting at the bit for the deepness, Well of Ascension, Hero of Ages, like that through a plot. Like, I kind of almost don't care about the army and Luthadel situation. I'm kind of on Vin's side, where I was like, you know what, just, like, give the city up and let's leave and let's go look for the Well of Ascension. But I digress, because apparently I'm too cruel, I'm too hard, too hardened against the world, so I guess we will play it the nice way. Okay, so don't get me wrong, I liked Eland before. I thought he was okay. I liked him in the first book. His indifference was nice. I liked it. But him becoming more, like, demanding and, like, more, like, I don't know. I don't know. It's just, I'm really liking it, low-key. Why is it making Eland kind of hot? Like, why is it suiting him so well? Am I blushing? Do you see? Am I blushing? What is this? part 3, and low-key, it's kind of genius to have Ellen fail after all of that and not become king, but at least it wasn't set. Like, that's all I'm gonna say. I may not be able to finish this book today, but I'm gonna make as much progress as possible, god damn it, because I want to start the last book, The Hero of Ages, this upcoming week, as soon as possible. So, we're really gonna put the gears in go here. Have been completely devouring this book. I finished part 3, or part 4, I mean, and am now on part 5, and I have this much of the book left. Y'all, maybe I actually will succeed in completing reading this today. I have like a little over 100 pages. Like just like slightly over 100 pages. 130 pages maybe. But I fear I am my head has started to hurt from how long I've been reading. I think I've just read like 3 hours straight. So I'm gonna take a breaky break. Maybe I'll work on my book. Maybe I'll do some writing instead. We'll see. We'll find out. As for an update for what's happening in the story, Vin has killed Zane. She was wavering there for a while. She thought that Ellen saw her as a monster. Ellen was worried that she didn't need him anymore. But they are married now. They decided to do a really quick marriage ceremony. And Sayzed has set it up where her, Ellen and Spook are gonna leave, and they're gonna go north looking for the Well of Ascension, and he lied to her about how the city will survive to get her to leave, thinking the city's gonna fail. I really hope Sayzed and the rest of the crew don't die, but Brandon Sanderson has made it clear that he has no qualms about killing off characters. So we're just gonna have to wait. We're just gonna have to wait and see. I only have this much left. So close. Yet so far. It is Sunday, which is the first day of my work week. I wasn't able to finish this book last night. However, I am so close. I don't know if I'll be able to finish it today either, but I will tell you I'm on page... Which page am I on? 690. I'm on page 690, and there are only... Try not to read anything that spoils. 785 pages. So I'm just under 100 pages left. So, though if I don't finish it today, I'm 100% finishing it tomorrow, and then we can hop into the Hero of Ages. Let's go. Let's do this. Also, forgive my hair. I literally just got out of the shower. So... I'm at the end of part 5. Oh my god. Okay, so first up, the battle, intense. Like, I didn't know what to do with myself. I was like, I have to keep going. By the way, I think I am going to finish this today. I'm now on page 730. And there's like 50 pages left. Beside the point. And then Vin arrives. Oh, reading her battles is so good. So good. She's so cool. And then her making these men bow to her. And she's like, no, you're basically swearing yourself to Elend, not to me, but they're swearing themselves to her because of her. Why has been kind of hot? Okay.
I finished Mistborn last night. I didn't record the end of it because I needed time to process. Also, I just got off work. Yes, I am still, and I'm not still in my pajamas. I got into my pajamas as soon as I got home from work because that's just the kind of person I am. I only have work clothes and pajamas. But, oh my god, where do we fucking start with the end of Well of Ascension? First off, oh my god, where do I want to start? I think I already talked about Vin being an absolute badass, completely took over the entire Koloss army. Like, she was able to control them, and there was nothing cooler than that. I think I already talked about that, because I talked about her making all the lords kneel for her, which... loved that. Let's see. Elend becoming a Mistborn? Love it. Love it. And I have started Hero of Ages, and let me tell you, I love that we get to just see him go right into the action. Like, right into being a Mistborn. Ooh! I don't know why my attraction to him has skyrocketed since the middle of Well of Ascension, but man, am I feeling him, let me tell you. Like, you know what, Vin? You got good eyes, because that was a good choice. Good choice right there. It did take him almost dying, but, you know. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room about that ending. I actually really love what Brandon Sanderson did there. The fact that there's this godlike creature that was hidden, like, I don't know if it was hidden in the well, I don't know if it was just, like, around, it was obviously, like, trapped in some way, but it was able to influence the world outside of whatever cage it was in enough to change prophecies and to change anything written down, but for some reason can't change anything written in metal. That's pretty cool. That is scary, but that is scary cool. I can't wait to get hopefully some more answers. I do know there is another, like, trilogy that's supposed to be later down the lines. I'm hoping it's not a case of, oh, we weren't able to defeat it, it's gonna come back sort of thing. I don't know what else it would be, though. Though, I mean, I guess depending on how it's done, I wouldn't necessarily mind that. I think I am someone that genuinely believes that if it's something that's well written, even if it's something I normally wouldn't enjoy, I would enjoy it. So, like, if he goes about it the right way, and when I get to the, the next Mistborn trilogy, which, by the way, don't know when I'm going to read that. I don't have necessarily a plan for reading Brandon Sanderson's works. I think Brandon Sanderson made a video of his preferred reading order, and I'm going to go off his. And I know Mistborn was first, which is why I have it. But that's beside the point. Beside the point. Shoo it all away. But my point is if he writes it well, where this thing will come back in 1,000 years or whatever, then if it's well done, I won't mind it. I haven't gotten very far into Hero of Ages yet, mostly because I didn't get a lot of time to read today. It was a busy day at my work, so I'm only like a few chapters in, but I'm liking what I'm seeing. I like that we've gotten some point of views that we haven't been able to get before. Like, I didn't even talk about Tensor, however you're supposed to say his name, about how he was fake. How he killed the Kandra that was originally part of the gang and took his place, which is a genius strategy move, let me tell you. But the fact that he also became friends with Vin, like, organically, and decided to still be on her side even though he wasn't her original Kandra, love it. Love it. He's being punished for it, but he was able to get a trial, so I'm interested to see what he's going to do to save his ass, and I hope his ass does get saved. So, and yeah, and we start off Hero of Ages with Elend. Well, actually, technically, we start off Hero of Ages in the prologue with Marsh. A Marsh point of view? And, like, the Inquisitors are on some shit, let me tell you. But it's fascinating. It's so interesting. It's so tragic. And then Elend, for whatever reason, he and his armies are crossing the lands. Like, I don't know, like, if there's more Koloss and they're just trying to gather all of them, or what? What's going on? Haven't gotten far enough to tell. So, yeah. So I'm gonna take my after-work shower. I'm taking my contacts out, which is, I like to take my contacts out immediately because I do not like the feel of my contacts after wearing them for 8 hours. Nothing feels better than taking these bad boys out, let me tell you. Oh yeah, that's the stuff. Oh, but anyway, I will return to this. It'll probably be a little bit later because there's some like housekeeping things that I want to do first, but I'll catch up with you later when I pick up Hero of Ages again. Another day, more reading. I feel so bad for Sazed. Like, poor boy is really going through it, having to completely deconstruct everything he's ever believed in, all because he fell in love with a woman and then she died. Like, I understand, but also, like, technically they were only, like, really talking to each other for, like, a few weeks. But also his entire people were kind of slaughtered by Inquisitors, which, interesting stuff going on there, let me tell you. I'm real interested to see what these maps are going to be leading to, if they're going to be leading to anything. I'm real interested to see, like, what even is the Ruin? What's the good voice that keeps on talking to people? We have to be getting a bunch of answers, right? Also, I'm going to say right now, I'm only like a tiny bit through. I'm going to say right now, I think the epigraphs, I think they're going to be Elend. I think it's been setting us up to think Vin is the Hero of Ages. I think Elend is going to be the Hero of Ages. So,
But we're just gonna have to find out together. I don't know, just the epigraphs, the way they're written, it sounds like Ellen and not Vin. But who knows? Who knows? It could be anybody, honestly. I have finished part 2 and I'm starting part 3 of Hero of Ages. Tensoon has escaped using a dog's body. All is right in the world. Also, Ellen and Vin dancing at the ball with their allomantic grace or whatever. Loved it. I love that they went to a ball, to be honest. I thought it was a great way to harken back to the first book. Honestly, I feel like a lot of this is harkening back to the first book, well, especially all the bringing up Kelsier, bringing up how the Lord Ruler created everything, all of that. I'm just loving it, loving it. I'm ready to start part 3, The Broken Skies. I'm starting to feel suspicious of Spook's Kelsier, because I was thinking, right, it says in these epigraphs that I'm gonna butcher this name. I'm not even gonna try. I'm not even gonna try. The one that Inquisitors use, that form of magic, is of ruin, and the fact that Kelsier had Spook use that form of magic, and Kelsier keeps whispering into Spook's head. I'm starting to think that Kelsier, at least Spook's Kelsier, is ruin. However, I do still think Kelsier is the mist spirit. And I think that's maybe why Ruin is using Kelsier to speak to Spook, but not 100% sure. All I know is I think Spook is being manipulated. A few days since I checked in with you guys. I got so into this book, I kind of forgot I was filming a video. So there's a bunch to talk about, and I'm not even halfway. I was hoping to get through these faster, but that life did just not have that in store for me, and that's okay. You know what? I'm stressing about absolutely nothing. Everything is vibes. Everything is vibes. First off, I do feel kind of bad, because I was like, I don't understand why Sazed's so upset. Like, he only knew her for a few weeks. And then he even ponders that himself in one chapter. And I'm like, I'm sorry, bud. That was my bad for judging him way too harshly. I apologize for being so cold-hearted. I'm really enjoying all this political setup. Like, Spook is coming out from, like, the rear. And he's seeing Kelsier's ghost. He basically got Pewter the same way an Inquisitor would get, like, his medals, right? Because, like, when, like, at first, like, Kelsier shows up and is like, oh, I bless you with Pewter. And he just suddenly has Pewter, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? But then a little bit later, when he's recovering at, like, a hotel or whatever, and he's looking at himself in the mirror, and he sees metal in himself, and when he's gonna pull it out, Kelsier's voice, like, says to him, like, no, leave it. And it's because that, when he was stabbed, he, with the, like, the, what is it called? The staff? The spear, that's what it's called. The spear went through somebody else and into Spook, which that is the way the Inquisitors get their spikes that we learn at the very beginning. So Spook can now burn both tin and pewter. And speaking of tin, Spook is flaring his tin so much that he is now so sensitive to an extreme, and it makes him the best spy master of, like, all time. I was like, Spook, when did you get cool? Like, he took the fact that he did absolutely nothing in the previous 2 books and is making up for it tenfold. Like, let's go, my boy. And then, also the whole Ska Rebellion city, where they are just, like, absolutely brutal with each other, is a very interesting, like, dilemma, right? Because, like, they're living by Kelsier's direct words, but taking it to an extreme that people that know Kelsier say that he wouldn't go to, which, whether or not that's true, I don't know. We got the mystery of the Mists still. We don't know which side the Mists are on. Why do the Mists suddenly hate Vin if they're on her side, right? Also, I think the Mist spirit is Kelsier. Like, based on what happened with Spook, I think that's what the Mist spirit is. But, don't know. I also, by the way, no longer think Ellen is writing the epilogues. I can't remember if I said this, but Ellen's name appears in an epilogue. But I'm also not sure if Vin is the one writing them either, because listen, the way that these epilogues are going into the Lord Ruler, and, like, with such a specific, like, lens, I'm like, this feels like scholarly language. And you know who our scholar is? Sazed. And it would make sense if the Hero of Ages did end up being a Terraceman, because that was one of the things that didn't make sense long ago, but they're like, oh, it had to be that way, but we also know that Ruin was changing up, like, what the actual prophecy said. So what if it is supposed to be a Terraceman, and the Hero of Ages is Sazed, and not Vin? Just some food for thought there. Yeah. Oh, and Tensoon, he's having his own little crisis, where he's calling Vin mother, and said that they should all be honoring the first contract with her, which, you know, I'm inclined to agree, because she's the main character. And he lied about disliking the dog's body, because he was saying, oh, I hate it, but he doesn't hate it. He basically implied that he's gonna escape. And so I can't wait for Tensoon to escape and go back to Vin and help defeat Ruin. And there's like 2 forces, Ruin and Preservation thing, and we don't know very much about Preservation. Just that Preservation's supposed to be the good version of Ruin, right? And that it's Preservation's energy that was filling up the Well of Ascension. So, we're learning so much, and there's still so many questions. But yeah, so I'm gonna continue reading this. I wonder if I could finish. Let's see, I have this much left. I wonder if I could finish this much in 2 days. The problem is tomorrow I have to work, and because I'm working, the amount of time I have to read is significantly reduced. So I just have to see how far I can get today. I'm on page 293. So I'm like 100 pages from being like in the middle, which is wild. It's wild. These books are so long, but it's so worth it. Like I love long books, to be honest. I'm never intimidated by a long book. I'm like, let's get into it. Let's do this. There's nothing more satisfying than finishing a long book. So we found out that Reen, Vin's brother that's been dead since the first book, first he was not dead, but then he is dead. It was Ruin impersonating him. I'm a little unclear, like, was it Ruin the entire time and she never had a brother? Or did she have a brother and he is dead, and then Ruin was, like, manipulating her or whatever? But Ruin was like, oh, I've been in your head since you were a newborn or whatever, basically. And I think I'm right about the earring. The earring in her ear was her connection to ruin. So it is hemalurgy, but it's in her ear because it also connects her to ruin, which allows him to be able to speak into her mind. So every time she was hearing Reen inside her head, it was actually ruin the entire time. Which is insane. That's insane work. I love it. Talked about in this video yet is that the mists, I think I talked about near the beginning, the mists are like killing people, but I guess it's not just killing people, because there's some people that will fall sick but then get better, and nobody knows what like that's about. And the mists I'm unsure about, because I'm like, I feel like the mists are part of ruin, and I feel like it's kind of like said the mists are part of ruin, but sometimes it doesn't seem that way. But then the misting, which is also happened to be Reen, it had like the same similar feelings. Like, Reen was kind of like a thing of the mist, like the mist creature, right? But so that implies that the mist is ruin, right? But preservation has been strangely absent, and I was like, well, what if the people falling sick of the mists, it's some sort of like, I don't know, like thing for preservation or whatever. Whatever the fuck it's called. I don't know if that was actually the name of it. I've already forgot. But like that's like giving them something? I don't know. But soldiers are like distrusting those that fell for the mist and were sick for longer. Like they said that there's something like wrong with them and it's causing fights. And one of the quotes is, because like Ellen is like, why are they doing this? This is ridiculous. One of the quotes is, "You don't understand superstition, my lord Dimu." I don't know if his name is Dimu. It has an X at the end, so I don't know. But Dimu said, rubbing his chin, "The men look for someone to blame for their ill luck. And, well, it's easy to see why they'd be feeling their luck was bad lately. They've been hard on anyone who was sickened by the mists, and they're hardest on us who were out the longest. But men look for someone to blame for their ill luck." I feel like that is very, very true, and I feel like you see it right now in this society so hard with how judgmental everyone is on the internet. That's the point I wanted to make with this rambling. Vin being imprisoned is actually stressing me out so much. Like, I have full faith in her. Like, I trust that she is gonna be fine. But I also don't know Brandon Sanderson enough to know if I can trust that trust. But like I'm pretty sure it'll be fine. And the chapter I just finished, it ends with the door opening, but it's like, what's gonna happen next? And then I get to the next chapter, and it's a Say-Said chapter, which I love Say-Said. I feel so bad for him. Like, his depression right now is so sad. Like, I hate to see my boy like this, and I can't wait to read him coming out of it, and, like, finding his path again, or finding his joy again, potentially, hopefully. I still think he's gonna end up being the hero of ages, actually. But, that being said, I care more right now what's gonna happen with Vin than I do with what's happening with Say-Said. I am determined to finish this book today. I only have this much left. And I'm on I am on chapter 62, and I'm on page 576. So I have about 200 pages left. And I can very realistically finish this today. Though there's other stuff I would like to get done. However, I'm very close. I've definitely, it's taken me longer to read this one than the previous one. But it's because I've been savoring it. I've been thoroughly enjoying it. It's not slow because I'm not enjoying it as much. It's slow because I'm enjoying it too much. And maybe like, oh, there's a part of me that's sad. It's going to be ending soon. But we're getting so many more answers now. Like the climax is really climaxing. Like we see preservation basically die, which is kind of sad. But that being said, there's now more like hope. And I'm on part 5 now, which is about trust. And I don't know. I'm thinking that the reason Ruin is succeeding is because everyone is attacking each other. Like Elend, like conquering all of these cities, even if he does think it's for the greater good, he is still participating in ruin, and everything he has touched after he has left it has fallen apart. But also we got confirmation that what the Kelsier that Spook was seeing was also Ruin, and Spook not only was able to get himself out of Ruin's clutches, but was also able to free the other guy. What's his name? Quillian, I think his name is, the citizen, who was also under Ruin's control. And so that's gotta be a good sign, right? Maybe Spook is the one that's writing these epigraphs, though I doubt it. You know, I feel like Spook, even though he no longer speaks in the weird dialect that he was speaking in the first book, and for a good portion of the second book, I still feel like he doesn't have the eloquence that these epigraphs kind of represent. However, it's implied that the person in the epigraphs is someone that has taken the power again, which doesn't necessarily make sense, because if it's already been taken and it needs more time to gather up. But obviously there's going to be answers left in these like 200 or so pages. But yeah, this is such an interesting, almost like a not thought progress. What am I trying to say? Thought experiment? Like, I don't know, like thinking about religions and the way religions like affect people, especially large groups of people. Like I've read, it was a nonfiction book kind of about like all of human history leading up to the present day sort of thing. It was like an anthology one, and it did near the beginning kind of like talk about why humanity was able to come together in such big groups, because like in the wild, similar like species to us could only get to groups so big before they start to disperse and like interfight and all of that. And a big thing that they think is the reason that brought so many people together was being able to believe in abstract concepts like religion, things that they can't see but like can basically lie about. Like they said, like what set humans apart is that they developed the ability to lie and thought about lying. Like they could tell another group that, oh, I saw a river that way when there is no river, sort of thing. And that led to the ability to believe in concepts that didn't normally exist, like, again, religion and money, because they could lie about what kind of value those things have. But this book, I feel like, is kind of coming at this, like, a similar kind of way about how religion can kind of bring big groups of people together to make them act how they wouldn't normally act, but from a place of it can be used to destroy, but it can also be used for hope. And I think that's very interesting. So yeah, we're going to see today, hopefully, what all is in store for us in these 200 pages. I will be taking like a break here to work on my book here in a second, but I think I can easily finish this book today if I spend a majority of the day reading it. And then this vlog will be completed with my final thoughts for the series and all of that. So, let's get into it. complaint is not about the story itself. It is about this book, like, specifically. This edition, this mass market paperback, this cheap version of the book. It's that these pages are so poorly done that if my hands are too sweaty while I'm reading, I'm going to show you a bit of the text. This will contain the spoiler, so read at your own risk, but also look at this. You see this? This is literally just because my hands are slightly sweaty, and it's like smudged the page. Which, I don't like that. Like, no wonder mass market paperbacks are being discontinued. Yes, they're cheap, but goddamn. Like, it's and I've had this problem throughout all 3 books. Like, I have to be careful how long I'm holding a page, because just the oil, like, not even when my hands are sweaty, just the natural oils on my skin can smudge these pages, because they're, like, I don't know, thin or something? I don't know. But, yeah, my one complaint about all of this is that it keeps happening. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I just try not to hold on the letters. Like, I'm trying to hold the edges, and hoping for the best. The puzzle pieces are all coming together. Spook survived, and he's going to tell Vin about the metal spikes, and she's going to make a connection. Ruin has access to her because of the metal earring that she's wearing, because he must have influenced her mother, and that's why her mother was crazy. And they're going to figure out, and like, she's on the verge of figuring out, oh, these caches were to distract Ruin, and I know that it's because of the lines, I hid his body. Ruin is looking for his body. That's what's keeping him from destroying the whole world, is he doesn't have all of his stuff together. And I bet there's a secret in here where it is, but because it's not in the caches, and it seems that it's the ATM. ATM is the body of Ruin, which means that the opposite, the one that helped Vin see, like, the Lord Ruler was actually a terrorist Pac-Man, that must be Preservation's body, right? Right? So, I don't know. And my thought is like, well, using allomantic power on the ATM destroys it, right? So, like, does all someone have to do to get rid of Ruin is use allomancy around the ATM and destroy it? Or would that do what releasing the power at the Well of Ascension did and, like, give it to him? I want to say no, though. I want to say destroying it would be the way to go, tentatively, unless more information arises. God, you guys! No, we have one. I do think 100% Sazed is the hero of ages. Sazed is who the hero of ages was supposed to be, and it was Ruin that changed the doctrine that it had to be someone that wasn't a terroristman. But everything else about the doctrine fixed Sazed. He was outcasted by his people. He did bring everybody together. He is fixing and writing down the lost religion of the Conjure religion, which is also his religion. And we just discovered that people with mist sickness They're allomancers. They're allomancers. The mists were making them snap. And I bet, I haven't even gotten to the point where it's confirmed it yet, but just like picking up on these clues, I bet Demue and the others that were sick for the longest amount of time, I bet they were Mistborn. I bet they were Mistborn. I wonder what happened to their army. I wonder. Hopefully they come back now, because oh my god. Oh my god. I was so convinced that Sazed was actually the one writing these epigraphs, but I don't know. I feel like I'm starting to head back to Vin a little bit. Because, I mean, okay, so Vin has taken in the mists completely. She has completely taken in the mists and have become a god, which is, in the epigraphs, what the person in the epigraphs writes that they did, and that they were, like expanded, and they realized how hard controlling the earth was. So, it must be Vin that has been writing these the entire time. And I think I didn't want to believe it because it seemed too obvious. Say like, oh, well, I guess I'm the hero of ages at the very beginning. Made me immediately think, well, it can't be Vin because we know Vin is the hero of ages. But how could Vin be writing these? But now I'm like, you know what? Vin has to be writing these, right? Like, there's no way it could be anybody else now. So maybe I was just overthinking it? I don't know. Done it. I have finished Hero of Ages, and oh my god, that ending. First off, I was right. The whole time I was like, it has to be Sazed. I was right. But I wasn't right in the way, like, I didn't know exactly how it was going to go down, right? He took both the power of ruin and the power of preservation into himself, and now he is just a god. And all of the knowledge the Terrace people were saving up and giving to each other and giving to the Keepers was so that he knew how to exactly rebuild the world as it was before Rashid, I think is his name, Rashad, like, took the world and, like, ruined it. And I love that. I love the way this all connected at the end. And I don't love that Vin and Ellen died. I was expecting them to be alive at the very end, and it is sad that their story ended there. But Spook, Breeze, and Ham got to survive, and Spook's Mistborn, and there's still 2 like elements or metals that haven't been discovered or what their use is yet that Sazed is telling them to find. I cannot wait to eventually get into the next trilogy. However, I think I've seen a video of Brandon Sanderson's suggested reading order, and I believe the second round of Mistborn is not next. I don't know 100%. I'll have to watch the video again and get back into it. But for now, like my Mistborn journey has come to a close, and this was a great conclusion to it. Alright, here are some of my end thoughts about this series as a whole. First off, what everyone says about Brandon Sanderson, his world building, his, like, story work is 100% true. Like, this was masterfully done. I thoroughly enjoyed being able to read this series and go on this adventure. It has, I felt like, expanded my mind on what fantasy books could be. That, like, and I kind of knew that some, like, a lot of fantasy nowadays, I feel like can be a little bit copy and paste of one another. And this does remind me that there is a bunch of fantasy out there that isn't like that. There's a bunch of people that put in a lot of time and effort making their worlds different and kind of pushing the boundaries of what human creativity can be. And I love that. So I cannot wait to explore more Brandon Sanderson in the coming years, because it's going to take me several years to get through all of his backlog. And this man published this book so fast, like, he's definitely going to be ahead of me. But that is a fun journey to be on. I love discovering new authors, and Brandon Sanderson, I mean, not new authors, new favorite authors. And I'm glad to say that Brandon Sanderson is now one. And I know I've got quite a bit of books ahead of me, some of them really thick. Like, I think there's some books that are this thick altogether or something like that. It's gonna be crazy. But I am not intimidated by long books. Yes, do they take longer to read? Yeah, but you know what? That's okay. I feel like, especially being a book content creator, sometimes I feel rushed. Like, I have to read as quickly as possible, as much as possible, to be able to keep up with my content. And that's not necessarily, like, a negative thing. You know, I kind of enjoy the challenge of it. However, it is nice to just kind of accept that sometimes I do need to slow down in my reading, and sometimes I do just need to take a book in. And taking an extra week to finish a 100-page book, it's not that bad. And I say 100 pages, it was 750. But it's not really that bad. And, I'm just glad I gave this series a chance. And I'm glad you've given me a chance if you've watched all the way to the end of this video, because I already know this video is going to be long as all hell. It's going to be probably one of my longest videos on my channel to date. I might even have to cut this down. I don't know. I'll have to see once I have all the clips set up together. I might take, like, some of the clips of me reading out. This is also my first time trying a video in this format, in this, like, reading vlog kind of style. So let me know if y'all liked it. I'll also be keeping an eye on, like, views and stuff to see. But I would love to do more of these for some other series. A potential is I might do it for Dungeon Crawler Carl, though that one will have to be split into multiple parts because it's an 8-9 book series. I think there's still more to go. So, like, I might have to split it in, like, 2 parts or something. I don't know. We'll see. If you want that, though, let me know. If there's any other series you might want reading vlogs of, also put those down in the comments. I am open to a lot. I'm probably going to do this with Brandon Sanderson's other series, just for fun, just for shits and giggles, you know. I might do some other reading vlogs with some big releases that are happening this year, some of my most anticipated releases, but we'll see. You know, we're just gonna see where the world takes us. this, I don't know why, but the ending being as kind of sad as it is with losing our two of our really big main characters and the other one basically becoming a god and more or less disappearing, it is, it left me surprisingly hopeful and surprisingly inspired. So, and once again, thank you on coming with this journey with me. Like this video if you haven't already. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. And I will see you guys in the next video, whatever that may be. Love ya. Bye.